Hello and welcome to week 7 of Introduction to Citizen Science and Scientific Crowdsourcing. This week we will focus on usability evaluation methods in the next 4 parts. In the first part, we will briefly review what is usability and why it is important. So in the previous lecture, we went through an explanation of what it is user-centered design. We saw there that user-centered design is a philosophy that places the user at the center of the design and development process right from the very beginning, when the product is still in the conception phase, and checking every step of the way with potential users to be sure they will be comfortable with the final design. We explained that UCD is an iterative process, which means that it never really stops for as long as your product is being used, as you will constantly need to get feedback from your users, improve and update it accordingly. And we also reviewed that user-centered design has 5 main stages, namely the first stage, which is the user requirement gathering and analysis, followed by the conceptual design stage, design and implementation, evaluation, and finally launch and maintenance. Also, in last week's lecture, we reviewed some of the user-centered design methods. In specific, we went through the methods of personas in more detail. This week, we will focus mainly on the last 3 methods, which are the usability testing, heuristic evaluation, and cognitive walkthrough, which are mainly used for evaluation purposes. So this part of the lecture, we will start by explaining what is usability, why do we care, and how we can measure it. And I will briefly introduce some methods for usability evaluation, which we will explain in more detail in the next part of this lecture. So usability has its roots in ergonomics and human factors, and this dates back to post-World War II. According to the ISO definition, usability is the extent to which a product, system, application can be used by its end users to achieve their goals in specific contexts of use. With effectiveness, this means that their users are able to complete their tasks with accuracy. Efficiency, that is that the users can complete their tasks quickly. And that they are satisfied. Users are pleased and satisfied from interacting with the product. According to Nielsen, usability is a quality attribute that assesses how easy user interfaces are to use. According to Nielsen, usability is defined based on 5 quality components. The first one is learnability, and this refers to how easy is it for users to accomplish basic tasks the first times they encounter a design. Efficiency, and this refers to once the users have learned the design, how quickly can they perform a task. The third quality component is memorability. When users return to the design after a period of not using it, how easily can they re-establish proficiency? The fifth is errors. How many errors do users make? How severe are these errors, and how easily can they recover from these errors? And finally, it's satisfaction. How pleasant is it to use this design? But why do we care about usability? First of all, if your users cannot use your application easily, then most likely they will not use it. And within the context of citizen science, this means that if people won't use the citizen science application to collect any data, we will not end up collecting or analyzing relevant data. Or we might end up with only a few volunteers who don't mind going through the painful process of using an application. And in that case, that means we will collect only a relatively small amount of data. If your users fail to correctly complete their tasks without realizing it, we may end up with the wrong data. Also, your users will be frustrated, and this will influence overall participation levels, even the reputation of your organization and the reputation of the application. So how can we evaluate usability? Evaluating your application for its usability is a central principle in user-centered design. And usability evaluation methods are usually differentiated between formative evaluation methods, which are usually performed before a product or an application is launched to inform its design, and summative evaluation methods, which are implemented after the product is launched in order to evaluate it. And it should be noted that both summative and formative refer to the purpose of the evaluation. Another way to think about the methods and differentiate them is based on who is involved in the evaluation of the interface. So we have inspection methods, which are expert-based methods, which are used to inspect the usability of an interface and suggest improvements. And such inspection methods are the so-called heuristic evaluation and cognitive walkthrough. And then we also have user-based methods, where the methods require the involvement of real users who evaluate the usability of the interface. And such a method is the usability user testing. In the next part, we will review these three methods in more detail.